Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
I was trying to get ahead of everybody. I was in there chatting.
I saw that you were saying hi to everybody. Hi, Wanda. Hi, Cheryl and Gina and Liza. Yep. And Deneen and Judy. Hello,
and Linda, Wanda, and Judy's here. Hey, everybody.
How are you doing? And what are you guys working on right now?
I'm working on my insane blanket.
I love your insane blanket. Your insane blanket is gorgeous.
It's insane.
I just started using some of the bloom, and you know how it shows up really well, in knitting.
Yeah.
But with crochet, it's kind of weird. So I'm going to see how it works up in Tunisian.
Oh, in Tunisian.
Ooh,
awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. I am still working on this puppy.
Oh, I love that.
Love it.
I love that.
Need to go.
Danina's working on her taxes.
Oh
yes, she told me that this morning.
Bummer.
Boy, you got some. You're still working on your taxes. Wow.
Yeah. Taxes here were due on April 15th. I don't think there were extensions this year, were there?
I think they were extended till May 15th, weren't they?
Were they? Could be. I know they extended them last year. I always get mine done like right away.
Yeah.
As soon as I have all the paperwork, it's done and out of the way.
Yeah, me too.
But apparently Janine has much more complex taxes than I do.
Well, yeah, that could be. Doesn't she have a business?
Oh.
And that may be why.
Right? Because she sells her works. So
that's right.
Liza says she's finally working on a new crochet project.
Oh, Liza. Liza's daughter has been keeping her in line with her whips, I believe. Isn't that right, Lizzie? Didn't you tell me that your daughter won't let you start a new project until you finished a certain number of cardigans or something like that? I can't remember. It was a while ago, but
oh my gosh.
Linda and Linda are both here. Linda's working on a Tunisian shawl.
And Linda Rimmel is working on a baby blanket. She's just finishing up with the border.
Oh, nice.
Judy's working on a bag.
Deneen says April 30th here, but self-employed and daycare receipts have until June 15th.
Got you.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Nice. So that's neat. So Deneen does daycare or childcare? Do we know? You know, that
her daycare
piqued my interest.
I know. Now we're interested. So your son is daycare?
Must be. I taught pre-K for so many years, so my ears always prick up when I hear anything about little kids stuff.
Got you. And Liza says, no, my daughter won't let me buy yarns until I've finished a couple of pullovers.
There it is. Okay, I knew I thought it was cardigans, but yeah, pullovers. So,
oh my goodness.
Gotcha.
Lizzie, I will take one. You can make me a pullover.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so Deneen says, she has a daycare in her home, 6 kids.
6 kids every day. Nice. Very cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
And she gets all that crocheting done?
Nap time, baby.
Yep.
I am considering starting a new channel that's for little kids.
Oh,
kids channel. I'm of course keep Whippy Chick, but
that is so cool.
So now when I'm hearing like daycare and stuff, I'm like, because I miss it. I miss it so much.
That's super cute. But then I'm also thinking, because you don't have enough to do, Julie.
I know there's that part of me too. Enough so that I haven't told my husband.
Oh my gosh.
There's a reason for the green screen in the bedroom, honey.
Me and Emmy will be watching it every day.
Every day. Oh, they'll be watching the same episode over and over and over again. Yeah.
Kathy Ann is just finishing a blanket for a toddler. I'm sorry, Julie, I interrupted.
No, that's okay. Not at all. I didn't have any intention of actually bringing it up. I just did. Cheryl said, I saw Mel for 1 year. 1 year and her live, and then saw Ginger with Kim with Affordably Crafty, and I caught the end of Julie's live. Wow.
Yay, thank
That's
you.
unusual because I hardly ever do a live, but today was
I
a
know
good
we were
day.
back to back today. Back to back to back.
Yeah. I wasn't able to get to Ginger's because usually when you're doing your live with Kim, that's when I'm like doing my housework stuff and getting stuff going. And half the time I miss Mel's because I'm out shopping or something like that. But sometimes I plug her in.
During Kim and Ginger's live is when I'm nursing a cup of coffee and I am not really coherent. So
I hear ya.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, we have got something special in store today, and I know if you watched any of our channels this week or our lives or anything, you may have heard about it because I know Ginger talked about it yesterday. I know Julie has posted it in one of her videos talking about it, and then I talked about it today. But we interviewed Ben. And all of a sudden, I can't remember the name of his channel. Can you?
This Tunisian Crochet Life. Tunisian Crochet Life.
Okay. I don't know why I had him.
He changed his name recently, and ever since he changed his name, it's been hard for me to get it stuck in my head because I did the same thing in my video. I was like, wait, what is it called?
Well,
Tunisian Crochet Life.
The only reason I remembered it was because I tried to look it up under this Tunisian Crochet Life because that's what I thought it was.
Oh, yeah, and it's that. Yeah. Wow, Wanda managed to catch all of us today. Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thanks, Wanda.
Very appreciated.
But so he is not available at the time that we're actually live because he works in the evening. He works in hospitality. So these are going to be recorded. This is a recorded video, and what I've done is I've broken it up. So what we'll do, how we're going to present it is, I will put up the video and I kind of give a little intro, put up the video, and then we'll be in the chat. We can chat about it in the chat, and then once that little section's over, we'll talk about it a little bit. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, it sounds perfect.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, so but anyway,
before we start though, I do want to mention the delay.
Yeah. Oh, and I am gonna. It gets worse as we go into the questions. So it's not as noticeable in the first few questions, but as you get into the last few, it is very noticeable. So there was a huge delay when we were recording this. He just had a delay on his side, so I cut out the pauses, but you'll see where the words don't match up with his mouth, or you'll hear him laughing and responding, and we're trying to ask questions. It's just the delay. That's it. Yeah. So just a heads up. Hi, Jamie. I missed you this morning.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie. It's good to see you. Yeah.
And Liza says, sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. So, yeah, we loved Ben, and I know you guys are going to love him too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, without further ado, do you guys want me to go ahead and pop in the first question?
Sure.
And in this question, and you'll hear where we ask the questions, but well, it's usually Julie asking the questions. I think I get one and Ginger gets one, but Julie's the one that's prepared out of all of us.
Or the big mouth.
No, you're just prepared. So,
but I was also the one who I had also been the one who was communicating with Ben, so I also knew him a little bit better, so it was a little more comfortable for me to be asking the questions.
Very, very true. Now, I will tell you that Ben he does Tunisian crochet, period. Mm-hmm. So that is his thing. So his amount of knowledge, you guys are good. So you all will learn at least one thing from this interview, all of you, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But this first question, we're just asking about him and his what he does and everything. So let me go ahead and bring that up. Did y'all want to say anything about the question before I hit play?
I don't remember what the question was.
That's me either.
I'm going to say what the question is when I ask it. So
yeah, exactly. So, all right, here we go. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so happy to have you here. And if you could just take a minute to let us know who you are and how we can find you and all that good stuff.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you and talk with some more, hooking friends on YouTube. My name is Ben, and I have a channel called That Tunisian Crochet Life. It's all about Tunisian crochet. I used to do more tutorials. Now I'm doing more vlog type content, just talking about my life as a Tunisian crochet designer and tinkerer, and sharing that journey, and showing projects that work out and sometimes projects that don't work out. Because of course not everything we do works out, but it's fun nevertheless. It's all about Tunisian crochet. And you can find me on YouTube at That Tunisian Crochet Life.
Awesome.
Now, Ben, you have a Facebook group as well.
Yes, we have a Facebook group. I started the Facebook group because I wanted to provide, community in a way that you can't do on YouTube. And one of the things that I didn't like about YouTube, I love YouTube, but one of the things you can't do in YouTube is, this is a visual art. My viewers can't show me their projects on YouTube. So I thought, I'll just start a Facebook group where my viewers can show me their things and not just see my things, and get the viewers also talking to each other and giving each other hints and tips. And that group is called Fun with Tunisian Crochet.
Member.
Also, I will have a link down below, both Ben's channel as well as his Facebook group. I'll have both of those linked down below.
Perfect.
Okay, welcome back, you guys. So that was just the intro to Ben. Now, Kel asked, I am new to Tunisian. It is my new favorite. Are there any resources that you can recommend besides Ben, of course? I'm going to leave that to you guys. I am brand spanking new to
like trying to say Binghamton.
Yes.
I've got a couple of good, they're both on YouTube and Instagram. And I've mentioned them a few times before. One is With Alex. Mm-hmm. She's this With Alex on YouTube and With Alex on Instagram. And then also Noor's Knits. It's Noors Knits. She's the same on Instagram and YouTube also. And both of them have Tunisian tutorials. Both of them do stitch tutorials and very beginner friendly. Mm-hmm. And just very nice ladies. They're good channels, good resources.
How do you spell Noor's Knit again?
Noors? Double O.
Yeah.
I want to say that, is it TLC?
Yes.
She's got some great beginner friendly tutorials for Tunisian as well. Right. That was where I learned how to do Tunisian before I met Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
And the Crochet Crowd, Mikey is who I learned Lock from. Then that is like all the pillows I've made. It's this type of thing. And also, if you want the pattern for that particular style, the pillow, you can go onto Furl's website this month, and I think they're on week 3 of the cowl. It's free, and you just need a regular crochet hook for that. You don't even need to go buy any kind of Tunisian hook if you just want to try it out.
Yeah.
And it's also it's what I've made like that.
Okay.
Pillows. I don't know if you can. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. How my entry is going to be the entree lock with the pillows. That's going to be
Yeah, I want to try that too. That looks fun. I have a bunch of really bright colored big twist yarn that I just got at Joann's maybe a month ago, and I've just been waiting for like the right project. And now I'm thinking, I like that idea.
I'm gonna be using, the Michael stuff where I almost picked up the Karen stuff, but then I turned around and I got like the loops and threads, the eco stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna use that.
That'll be pretty.
That'll be nice. Awesome.
So, okay, I'm just looking here. Oh, okay. So Kel says, thank you so much. I follow TLYC and the Crochet Crowd, but I've never heard of With Alex or Nora's Knits. Thanks so much. And she is doing the Furls Pillow Tunisian project right now too. She's using
awesome
from her stash.
Cool.
So that's gonna be pretty. Hi, Chris. Hello, Chris. Hi. And somebody else came in. Oh, Alice came in. Hi, you guys. All right. So those of you that are just coming in, I just want to let you know that we did an interview with Ben, and he is not able to do a live interview with us because he works in the evenings. So we recorded an interview earlier. It was actually last week, and so we're doing it question at a time. And then we're going to just talk about it and look at your questions as we're going. And so we'll be active in the chat and everything. Okay?
Right.
All right. So the next question for Ben. So the first question was talking about him and what he does and where you can find him. I have links to him down below. So and I mentioned that in the video, but his links are down below if you are just coming in. All right, so the next thing that we ask is, we're asking how long he's been doing it, and you guys, he's been doing it a very long time, and it gives us a history lesson in this answer, a history lesson on the name of Tunisian and stuff like that. It's just, I find it fascinating. So, all right, let me go ahead and.
Ginger, I think, wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ginger.
Oh, that's okay. I was going to say that in the Yarn Hookers group, I'll also put the links to those 2 other channels.
Great.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think and I think those links are also in our last slideshow, maybe? Or maybe the one on our favorite channels, maybe? I can't remember. Great. Yeah, I remember looking them up at one point.
Okay.
Got you. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit play on the question. Anything else? I don't want to interrupt anybody. Awesome. Okay, give me a second.
How long have you been Tunisian crocheting?
A really long time. It's been over 30 years, probably about 35 years, I suppose, 30 to 35 years. I first learned to knit when I was 12. And I was that kid in school with his yarn and needles, knitting away as the teacher was teaching. That's awesome. Then when I was 14, I learned how to crochet from my sister-in-law. And while I was in the process of learning from her, I found this book in the library that taught a whole bunch of different techniques, needle art techniques. And one of the things in there was what it called railroad knitting. Railroad knitting turns out to be an older name for Tunisian crochet. I didn't actually discover the name Tunisian crochet until many years later when I was in my 30s. And when I first learned Tunisian crochet, or railroad knitting as it was called in this book, I only learned 3 stitches. Afghan stitch, which we know nowadays as Tunisian simple stitch, knit stitch, and full stitch. And that's all I knew. And I was using small hooks because that's what I had. I didn't know any better. So everything I made was always 1 stitch, the whole thing. And they were practically bulletproof because it was very thick and stiff. I didn't have any guidance on how to do this because I learned from a book. I didn't know anybody else that knew how to do this craft.
Okay.
So cool, right? To learn it from a book.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was fascinated.
I mean, I learned from a book for some things, but to do it and never have seen it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could have learned it because I learned crochet from a book, but I I found it fascinating the name. What was it? The
Railroad knitting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought, and that almost feels like that's probably more accurate than Tunisian crochet. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they went to crochet because of the hook on the end, but still.
Right. In fact, he was saying at one point that Tunisian crochet isn't really crochet.
Yeah, and that's coming up, but he will talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
And it's not Tunisian either. He
And
said that
it's not-
he said it's just like Afghan knitting. They gave him these names to make them sound exotic, he thinks.
Yeah,
You might be right.
to get an appeal, to find a broader appeal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Broader appeal. Hi, Mandy. Hello. Okay, so the next question that we asked him about, and those of you just coming in, and you guys are getting sick of me saying this, I just want to make sure that everybody understands. Those of you just coming in, we interviewed Ben, but unfortunately he is unable to join us live because he works in the evenings. So he works in hospitality. So we recorded this interview last week. So I'm playing it in snippets, and then we're keeping an eye on your questions so that we can answer them in between and have a little chat. So it's not totally a recorded video, but you're going to get a lot of moments of these recorded things as we learn from his just huge amount of knowledge into Tunisian crochet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play the next question, which is when Julie asks him about his biggest project, and he starts to go on and on, not on and on, but he starts to talk about, he gets very animated, and he starts to talk about his projects that he has done. So, all right. And that one is this one.
You ever seen any other Tunisian crochet items, or like everybody has seen a crochet Afghan growing up or something knitted, but I don't think I.
Hold on. I think that maybe I picked the wrong question. Hang on just a minute, guys. Sorry.
That's okay. This is a sheep show.
That's right.
Bah.
No, oh, you know what? I was looking at question 4. I have notes here. So I was looking at, yeah. So question 3 is, have you ever seen anything crocheted? It was kind of asking how you got interested in it and stuff like that. So, or not interested, but did you ever see something? So yeah. Let me try that again. I was on the right one. Sorry guys.
It's okay.
Let me do it again.
No problem.
We're with you. Ever seen any other Tunisian crochet items, or like everybody has seen a crochet Afghan growing up or something knitted, but I don't think I've ever seen anything that was Tunisian crocheted.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't. It wasn't until I was in my 30s. I was living in California in Laguna Beach, and there was a yarn shop in Laguna Woods, which was not far from where I live. And I say yarn shop, but this was very much a knitting shop. And you can imagine me as a 6'3" black guy walking into this knitting shop full of old white ladies, and they look and go, "What is he doing here? Are you?" And the question I got was, "Are you shopping for your wife?"
Yeah.
Little did they know at the time that I'm gay, that I don't have a wife, and no, I was shopping for myself. And what I was looking for was information about Tunisian crochet, because I had met online 2 designers, Kim Guzman and Dora Orenstein, both of which do Tunisian crochet as well as crochet. And Dora gave me a really, really great hint, which just blew my mind at the time, because everything I was getting, like I said, was bulletproof fabric. And she told me, use bigger hooks.
Right.
Don't know why I never thought to do that before, but I did. And I learned the term Tunisian crochet from Kim Guzman, actually, as I was looking online at the time for how to do this, how to do it more. And so when I walked into the shop, I went straight to their bookshelves to see if I could find anything on Tunisian crochet, and they had absolutely nothing. I'd say if they had a shelf with 200 books, maybe 195 were about knitting and 5 about crochet.
Yeah.
But the knitting teacher, she happened to be teaching a class that night, and she asked me, what I was looking for, and I told her that I was looking for books on Tunisian crochet. And she said, "Oh, well, you're not going to find that here. We don't have that. But I do have a book at home that you can have if you'd like it, because I'm never going to use it." So I came back another night when she told me to come back, and she handed me this book, The Encyclopedia of Tunisian Crochet, written by Arnie Grabowski. And that's when I learned that there were a whole lot more stitches than the 3 that I learned many years ago. And I learned that you can actually put them together into patterns, that your piece didn't have to be all Afghan stitch or all knit stitch or whatever. You could put them together and get all different kinds of effects.
Cool.
I had still never met anyone else who did Tunisian crochet and had never seen a Tunisian crochet item other than what I made. It wasn't until as I began to learn more stitches through this book, I discovered a shop which no longer exists now, that I had to drive over the mountains and into this desert town in San Diego County. And this little shop was called Crochet Cafe.
Oh, I love it already.
In this shop, she had yarn and everything, but unlike the shop that was in Laguna Woods where I went, it was all crochet. And I walked in, and it was like she had shawls and tops and hats and scarves, and everything was crochet. And I was just like, my eyes were popping out of my head. And I saw hanging from the ceiling, she had these Tunisian crochet shawls. And I was like, that kind of looks like Tunisian crochet. But instead of it being like tight fabric, like this, it was like, there was all this space in the stitches. So I was like, how did you do that? She said, big hooks. So she showed me some of her hooks. These hooks were like gigantic. So she was getting these things that looked like lace, even though they were made in just simple stitch. It was fantastic. And this was the first time I was actually seeing someone else's Tunisian crochet. I was at a coworker's house by the beach in San Clemente one day, and as they were showing me around the house, and I went into one of the bedrooms. On the bed was this king size bed, king size afghan made in Tunisian crochet.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. Imagine a king size bed. So you can imagine this took a while to do. But this was something that was handed down from her grandmother. Her grandmother Tunisian crocheted this thing back when it was known as Afghan stitch, all in Tunisian simple stitch. And she had embroidered over top of it, cross stitch.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the second time that I ever saw anything. And I was in my 30s before I ever saw anybody else's Tunisian crochet.
Wow. That's wild. Can you imagine? Are you guys there?
We're all here. I just need to unmute it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my thing is frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you're fine. You're not frozen for us.
Okay, I can see you guys on the computer, so
Okay.
we're all good.
I want to go to Crochet Cafe. I don't know if it's
Yes.
still there, but it sounds like a dreamland.
Right?
And where did he say it was?
I think he said Laguna Beach or
Yeah.
somewhere in California.
No, you have to go over the mountains and into the desert.
Oh, okay.
So, because I remember just before he said that, I kept thinking over the mountains
The mountains and through the woods.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that's what he said.
But that's how you get to Mel's house.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You got it.
So I wonder. I never see any Tunisian crochet.
I never see any crochet.
Yeah.
No, I don't see any crochet in the stores. But I mean, like everybody has seen crochet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody's got a grandmother or an aunt or someone who's crocheted Afghans, but
You make really pretty things out of Tunisian crochet that, like, I made the swaddling blanket. I don't have it with me because it's wrapped around my little new grandbaby.
Can you show the picture from Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Let me show you.
Debbie says San Diego. That's right. Thank you, Debbie.
Let's see.
Oh, Danita, I'm so glad that you're enjoying this.
Oops. Can you guys see that?
There's little Emmy.
Oh, he did say it no longer existed. Wanda pays much more attention than we do.
Wanda, that's so sad that we've seen it twice. Mel's probably seen it 3 or 4 times. She's so cute.
It's kind of hard to see.
It's the honeycomb stitch, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, when I go back over to our house, I'll take some better. Let's see if there's some better pictures in here somewhere that I can show you. But it feels like a knit garment. It feels like something that's knit, and it wraps around her and swaddles her so well. It doesn't have that bulky feel of regular crochet.
Yeah. So Lizzie's tried searching for it and she is not finding it. And Wanda did remind us that he said it no longer existed.
Oh.
Chris says, does Tunisian crochet take more yarn than crochet? Because I know knitting takes less.
It takes less.
I would imagine it takes less. Yeah.
It takes
Tunisian
less.
takes less?
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it too much.
She just did it.
Oh,
I just did it.
I don't know if you can see that.
Cute. So precious.
Am I holding it up in the right place for you guys to see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
You just want to show off your fancy camera. Your fancy phone.
This is my old phone.
That's with your older phone, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Debbie has renamed her apartment the Crochet Cafe. Come and visit.
That's right. Come and visit.
I love it.
Wanda says, I have a problem being detail oriented. Me too.
I like it, Wanda, though. You keep me on my toes. So thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So in the next question, now this is the question where we talk about his biggest project. So those of you just joining us, I'm only going to say this for the next couple of questions, but those of you just joining us, Ben, we interviewed Ben for this show. It's all about Tunisian crochet because that's what our Facebook challenge is. And he could not join us live because he does work in the evenings. He works in the hospitality, hospitality. Anyway,
yeah, he works in a hotel. Yep.
So, so we recorded this a couple weeks ago, and I edited it out so we could do a question at a time, and then just chat with you guys, in between. And just so you know, too, I'm just reminding everybody there is a lag. So he was lagging while we were doing the interview. These first several questions, you're not going to notice it as much. You do notice it a little bit. But as we get into like question 8, 9, 10, and 11, you're really going to see it. I did cut out a lot of the like wait time where we asked a question and then we would just sit and wait.
Yeah.
So cut out some of that, but you're gonna see where the words don't match the mouth, or he's laughing when we're trying to ask a question and stuff like that. So just a heads up. I'm gonna remind you guys one more time here in a few questions about all of that. But until then, let me go ahead and go with the next question.
Biggest project that you've ever done? Have you ever done a big Afghan like that?
Not to a twin size. And was one of the things about me is I start out making a thing like a scarf, and by the time I'm done, it's gigantic. So this thing was intended to be
Sounds like
a
you,
lap
Ginger.
blanket for my mother. It was intended to be a lap blanket for my mother because she was always cold and everything. And it turned into something big enough to fit over a twin-size bed.
Room to grow. Wow. So it's kind of unusual for guys to be in the crochet world and knitting world. And you said that you did this as a kid. So did you get picked on or anything by the other kids?
I got picked on for everything when I was a kid. I was a bullied kid, truthfully. I was this tall, skinny beanpole that was shy, so I was an easy target. And so, of course, sitting in high school with my knitting needles, crochet, knitting, or with my hook crocheting, of course, kids, teased me. But I had one teacher. She was actually my tennis coach. She was teaching our math to us for a while, and she saw some of the other kids, the boys, teasing me, and she stopped the whole class, and she explained what knitting is. And she said, "You have no idea what this is doing for him. Some people need to do things with their hands in order for their minds to work well."
Wow.
Nobody ever teased me again in school.
That's awesome.
And she didn't mind that I did it while before.
She probably was hoping you would make her something.
You make her anything?
Well, she explained that she was also a knitter. So it took, I did not, at least I don't remember. In high school, I actually don't remember making things. I remember the process of knitting, and I remember crocheting a lot, but I don't remember actually making things. Although my mother swears, pardon me, she swears that I made bags all the time, that I was in this bag kit. I don't remember a single bag that I ever made, but my mother says that I made bags all the time. I am a process stitcher. So it's never truly about the finished object for me. Like this hat, it's about the process. So I'm getting better now at actually keeping things so that I can show them off. But I'm such a process maker that almost as soon as I make it, I have a tendency to like donate or give it away. So when people say, "Oh, well, can I see your work?" I never have anything. But now I actually have things.
All right, I'm unmuting everybody.
Okay.
There we go. Everybody's and I'm just doing that in case somebody runs through the house screaming or something. We don't interrupt what you're watching.
I'm just crochet or knitting. So, what a great teacher, huh?
I think that's pretty amazing. And it's rare to find teachers that are like that. That are that understanding. I don't want to say there's none out there, but they are nice gems, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that people are starting to realize that some kids need to fidget, or they need to have something moving to get Ginger's eyes. They need to be moving to get their brains working. And sounds like he had a teacher like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. And he even said he probably never paid attention to what he was doing, and just he would do it and just to keep it moving, because he never finished. He never remembered finishing anything.
Yeah.
So
Ginger,
are you a process crocheter?
I would, yes. It's all about the process for me.
which is why you have so many whips.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I just need to I feel more comfortable with something in my hands. It's like my brain can go on, everything gets slowed down when I'm working on something.
You know what's interesting is I don't know if y'all read that article about Kamala Harris being a crocheter. And
I did, yeah.
The reason why she's a crocheter is because her mother refused to let her just sit and just watch TV. And so she taught them to crochet while they were watching TV.
Oh, that's good.
I find that fascinating.
Yeah, that's neat.
All right, so
that's what I do.
Now Denise's asking, were you a fidgeter?
Oh, okay.
When she wasn't in the principal's office.
Exactly. But the reason I was in the principal's office was because I couldn't sit in my seat. It wasn't my fault. I just had a lot of energy.
I understand that. There's a lot of kids like that out there.
You're not alone.
I couldn't sit still. And it wasn't because I was trying to get in trouble. It was because there was
that is just physical, chemical. That's how you are.
Yes.
It's very genetic.
Needed to be made.
All right, you guys. So the next question is where we talk about charities and stuff that he's mentioned and things that the charities that he works with. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play on that.
So full of stuff down here, just in case y'all want to see some stuff.
Of course.
Well, one question before you show us your stuff, because we totally want to see your stuff. You talked before in some of your videos
that sounds
about.
Interesting.
You talked before in one of your videos, at least one of them, about the Red Scarf charity, and that you did some work for them. Are you still doing that?
No, but I definitely, and I'm so bad. I didn't send them the things that I made last year. And I'm using the pandemic as my excuse, okay? But I still have the items that I made for the Red Scarf Project last year. So I intend to, promote that again this year, because I just like the idea of using craft, to spread some beauty and some joy in the world. There's actually two programs, charities that a Red Scarf Project, and officially I adopted Hugs Through Shrugs, which sends mostly Tunisian crochet shrugs to mothers who are dealing with children who have cancer. And they've sent 1,000 shrugs last year to moms around the country. And the founder said that 90% of the shrugs were Tunisian crochet.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, let's see your stuff.
Yes.
Is that allowed? No, I'm kidding.
Wait. That way. Yes.
I've only watched you guys one time, so I don't know exactly what your sensibilities are. So
We're very good girls.
We're good girls, and we're safe. We're family safe.
We're family friendly.
A little bit of adult humor in there. You know what I'm saying? With a sprinkle.
Just a little.
Okay.
With that name,
That's good to know. Good to know. And I'm
Though I still haven't told my dad about
that
this.
are not Tunisian crochet. You still haven't?
I haven't told my dad about this name. The name up in the corner.
There he is.
I haven't told my grandma either.
I just say my crochet friends. My crochet friends.
Yeah. My grandma would have cracked up laughing, and my mom thinks it's funny. So,
Yeah, we're happy hookers.
That's right. All right.
Well,
So show
like
us
I
some of
said,
your
when I was
projects.
young, so so when I was young, like I said, everything that I made was thick and bulletproof. Pretty much, you could stand that thing up on the table, and that scarf would literally stand up by itself. And most Tunisian crochet you see is like that, and that's unfortunate. It's just the way people have learned to do it. That's the way people learned to do it back in the 70s when it was sort of more popular. And it's the way most people are doing it now because they are translating, hook sizes from crochet over to Tunisian crochet. And before I show you some of these pieces, because it relates to what I'm saying here and what I'm going to show you. One of the things that I tell people, and this is somewhat controversial, although more and more people are starting to see it my way, thankfully.
The right way.
The right way.
The name of the craft, as we know it now, is Tunisian crochet. But because it has the word crochet in it, people think it's crochet. It's not crochet. Crochet is simply the French word that means hook. So it's Tunisian crochet. It's not from Tunisia, and it's not crochet. Someone gave it that name to give it sort of an air of, mystique, Tunisian. It's also with Afghan stitch. It doesn't come from Afghanistan. It's just something that somebody gave the stitch long ago to give it an air of, mystique, and it's just stuck. So Tunisian crochet doesn't come from Tunisia, and it's not crochet. It didn't even develop from crochet. The best that the needle art historians have been able to figure out is that it developed from knitting. It developed in a place, and I'm not quite sure what that place is, where they used hooks to knit instead of needles. So they used hooked needles. And it could be possible that maybe one day a knitter lost one of their hooks and they were trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do? They just started drawing the yarn through the stitches, and voila, you got Tunisian crochet. That really is what separates Tunisian crochet from knitting, is what we call the return pass. If we weren't doing a return pass, we'd be knitting.
Right.
So people will often, when they're learning Tunisian crochet, try to use the same size hooks as they use with crochet, and they find that, their stuff curls a lot, and it's very thick. But when you use really big hooks, you can get things that are very drapey and soft and supple. Now this I don't even remember what size I used, but I'm thinking used maybe a 15 millimeter. I think that's a Q hook.
Oh.
And I just wanted to make something, just to show people, what crochet, Tunisian crochet can be when you use larger hooks.
Sorry, Ginger, I didn't mean to, put you in the spotlight. I think you're still muted. Now you're not. It was me. I did it. It's all me.
Oh.
Ginger was big.
I hit that we put you up there instead of unmuting you. So That's why you were big and muted.
I was totally oblivious. I did not know what was going on because my screen's on freeze right here.
Oh, you're like, I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how much he knows? He's like
it is amazing.
Yeah.
It's
like a dictionary of Tunisian crochet.
Mm-hmm.
Cal, I will be updating that link. So I guess the link was wrong that I posted in the description. So I apologize about that, guys, but I will update it after the live is finished. I'll get that updated. So
Sounds
sorry
good.
about that. But yeah, what did you guys think about about what he's saying about the hooks? Those of you that do a lot of Tunisian, what do you think about the hooks? My AC came on. Y'all probably heard it, but now my shoulder.
Now you're cold. Wanda is asking if I can post the link to the big Tunisian hook that I purchased. I can try. I actually got it on eBay, but I think they.
Did you ever check with Amazon to see if Amazon has?
I can check. I know that when I asked for recommendations on Ben's Facebook group, they said Amazon. So I'll do a little research right here and I'll put it. I'll link up. Oh,
and how much was that hook, Julie?
It was, I think, $7 or $8. I think it was like $7.95 or something.
Okay, yeah. So that's quite a lot less expensive than Furls, because I know that Furls has some, but I don't know how big their Tunisian hooks are. I'm gonna check. Yeah.
So for that hook, produced this. This is 4-weight yarn, so it's very drapey. It's not stiff at all, and pretty minimal curl. That's the only curl I've got, so not bad.
So pretty.
Thank you.
So the big hooks, the 12 millimeter wooden hook, that is the link for that. The 12 millimeter wooden hook on Amazon. And it's a Tunisian hook.
It is. Yep. It really looks like a drumstick to me.
Well, and the picture that they have on Amazon, it's like close up on the hook part, and I'm like, that's gigantic, but it's just because it's close up. That's all.
Oh, here I can make mine big, really big.
Kel, so what we're talking about with the hooks is Ben highly recommends that you go higher.
Much higher, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you use a bigger hook than a crochet hook. And it's interesting because they don't call for you read the label, it says your knitting needle size, it says your crochet hook size, but it doesn't say Tunisian crochet hook size.
Yeah.
So because I guess they assume that you use the same as a crochet hook, which is the assumption I had. And I'll ask that question later about when you're beginning. But I found that fascinating. That was eye opener for me. And this is after I bought a couple of Tunisian hooks, and I'm like, well, dang it, I bought them too small.
Yeah. I think that knitting needles and crochet hooks are usually on the label. The recommendation sizes are very similar. There may be, a 0.5 millimeter off or something like that, but the Tunisian's almost double. Like if you're looking at a 5.5 or a 6 millimeter hook for your heavy 4-weight yarn, you really want to go like a 12 millimeter for your Tunisian, or you're going to get a stiff,
right,
as Ben would say, bulletproof material.
Right. So. Like with this, I just want to give an example. I wanted to try this because you know how the Premier Bloom, this kind of yarn, if you knit it, it works out to look something like that. But if you crochet it, it looks completely different. Well, I'm Tunisian crocheting it. Can you guys see that?
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh, that's coming out beautiful.
Yeah, it's coming out. I mean, it's not exactly like the knit, but you can.
I think it looks great.
And with this, it recommends an 8 millimeter crochet hook, and I'm using a 10 millimeter Tunisian hook. So, it's two up, and it feels really good.
It does. Okay, good.
And
Good.
once again, it's the
Yeah, I mean,
fit.
this is a really, really loose weave, but I like it. I like the loose.
Beautiful.
Jamie said, I missed bits and pieces due to a very bad interweb connection. Poopy caca. So answer if he already did question traditional crochet. Yes, especially on smaller hooks. But he mentioned using a traditional crochet hook, and you just put a rubber band on it. I don't know that he said that in this clip, but he says it at some point in the interview, talking about putting a rubber band on the end to stop your yarn.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're asking, does he do traditional crochet as well? He does. He also is a knitter. So I'm not sure if that's what Jamie was asking. He does it all.
Does it all.
But his love and passion is for Tunisian.
Yeah, and it's amazing to watch how passionate he gets about it. So on the next one, putting size to use on the bands. Yes, Maribel. So Maribel says, would be nice if they started putting size to use on the bands. So included that in the listing with like the knitting and the crochet. I agree. Absolutely.
It'd be nice if they sold them in the big box stores too. That would be helpful.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because the hooks, I was looking for someone. I went on an Asheville trip and couldn't find any. I had to order mine off of Amazon.
What did we do before Amazon?
Right?
Seriously.
Had to go to like websites, I guess.
Right?
Before that, it was catalogs.
That's what it was. It was catalogs. It was as like the Annie's and the Mary Maxim catalogs, which I'm sure there's other companies out there.
Yeah.
So the next question, we're on. The last one was he talked about Red Scarf and the other charities, right? So I think he goes on to talk about using bigger hooks and doing some show and tell of his work.
Yeah. His work is so beautiful.
Yes. Oh, you're welcome, Jamie. So Jamie says, yes, I want to know everything. Thanks for all the answers. Absolutely. If y'all have questions, we're watching the chat while the video is playing. So, all right, next video.
Now this you can actually see, and it's just simple stitch. That's all it is, simple stitch, but with a really big hook.
Right. I just ordered a 12
People
millimeter.
often also don't know that Tunisian crochet can produce lace.
Well, that's
this
beautiful.
is a shawl.
Beautiful.
This is a lace shawl that I don't know if this is showing up very well on camera or not. But it's diagonal eyelets, just a bit of lace work there with an ombre yarn. I used to run a crochet group here in my town. And when I would take them things like this, they would go, what is that? Is that knit? No. That's Tunisian crochet.
Can you hold it up?
Yes, because they've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
I made
pretty,
you big, so we could see that is beautiful, and I would never have thought that was Tunisian crochet.
Oh, I can't wait for my big
hook
to come now.
Oh, that's the back. Let me show you the front.
It gets better.
So this is the front.
That's
that is
so gorgeous. You can get all sorts of effects with eyelets in Tunisian crochet, and there are several different ways to make eyelets in Tunisian crochet. Another thing that people don't know is that Tunisian crochet can be reversible. And this is a scarf that I made. I'll hold it up as well so you can see it.
Oh, I love that.
No, can you see it well?
Yeah.
It looks like a basket weave.
This is a basket weave pattern, and it's the same on both sides.
Oh, I love that.
That is beautiful.
Okay, I'll show you another reversible scarf. You'll figure out real quick. I love to make scarves and shawls.
I've known that for a while.
They're basically
Ben.
just big swatches. So this is a seed stitch.
That's
and
gorgeous.
it is also the same on both sides.
Very pretty.
I love that it's reversible.
Here's another
no,
reversible.
Like, right side, wrong side.
Right. And see, for a scarf, don't you want a scarf to be reversible?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, when you go to the store, it's very rare to find a scarf that's not reversible. People have come to expect a scarf to be reversible. That's because they don't have to worry about which way they're wearing it and which side is showing. But in Tunisian Crochet, because reversibility isn't something that has been promoted very much, our scarves are all one-sided. So one of the things that happens, and I know it's happened to me, you make something for a scarf for someone, and you put all your work into it, and you plan it out, you get the colors just right according to the colors that they like, and you hand it to them, and they look at it, and they're impressed, and then they turn it over, and they compare the sides, and you can see in their minds just for a split second, something's a little off to them, because it's different on both sides when they expect the scarf to be the same. So with the kind of techniques that I teach people, they can make scarves that are reversible. And here's another example of a reversible scarf.
Now, is that pretty
This is a 2x2 ribbing.
Okay.
That's not as stretchy as you might see in knitting, but it is stretchy.
Yeah.
And it is the same on both sides. Now, how I do reversible patterns is a little different than what most people who know how to do some reversible things in Tunisian Crochet do. Most of what you'll see in terms of reversible things in Tunisian Crochet are done with a double-ended hook. Am I saying that right? Yes, double-ended hook. I use regular single-ended hooks. With double-ended hooks, you have to always use 2 yarns, even if you're doing something that's solid. That's because you're picking up the loops on one pass, you're turning the work, and then you're drawing the yarn through with the other yarn. With the way that I do double-sided things, you don't have to use 2 yarns. You're basically doing the same thing as when you're knitting. Knitting is so close, Tunisian Crochet is so close to knitting that some of the same techniques work in Tunisian Crochet. So what I do is I pair stitches that are the reverse of each other. And every stitch in Tunisian Crochet has a reverse. So there's a Tunisian simple stitch, there's a reverse simple stitch, there's a Tunisian knit stitch, there's a reverse Tunisian knit stitch. And this is why one way that Tunisian Crochet is actually so much more complicated than knitting, because knitting only has 2 stitches.
Right.
I don't think anyone yet has been able to catalog how many stitches Tunisian Crochet has, because it just has so many.
I think that's a good job for you.
There you go. We'll be waiting for that book.
You can do that, Ben, because you know them all.
I actually was thinking about it earlier. I don't know them all at all. And I definitely don't use them all. Kim Guzman has a list, and I seem to remember another designer tried putting together a list as well. And I thought I should give my hand at putting together a list one of the things about Tunisian Crochet is it's just barely out of its infancy. So I'd say the craft is sort of in its toddler years. So we're still discovering things about it. Every few years, somebody comes out with something a little new in Tunisian Crochet. So maybe in another 10 years, there'll be a whole new bevy of stitches that no one... Yeah. Oh, here's a swatch that I made. This is another reversible item. It's just a 1x1 ribbing.
That's so pretty.
That is.
If it's made with a small enough hook, it almost looks like simple stitch on both sides.
Now, what size hook did you use on that one?
But I have a whole bunch. Oh, I don't know. My favorite hook sizes start at 9mm.
Sorry for the delay before we come back. I have to click a few things. So
That's okay. That's okay. It's a good thing that we have them because I just get I get working on my project and watching the chat, and then I forget, oh, I'm actually on the show.
Yeah, you need to, like, participate and stuff.
yeah. I have to like listen. But I don't know, his voice just kind of mesmerizes me.
Right? He does. He has an amazing voice. He has this one like calming video on his channel that you could just sit and listen to and just get into the rhythm of crochet, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Emmy says, one day I'll figure out Tunisian crochet. You and me both, Emmy. You and me both.
I think you'd like it if you give it a try. Yeah. Mel's gonna try it soon. I think she's waiting for some hooks or something, aren't you?
I just got my hooks. I've been in the middle of this, but I'm gonna probably sit down tomorrow and start trying to work. I got my project bag here with my yarn that I'm gonna use to make some pillow covers. So this is the yarn. Hang on, it's tucked in here real good. That's the yarn I'm gonna use.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
I got it ready to go to start trying to figure it out tomorrow.
So Kelly says, I've taken some cotton yarn to practice stitches from Ben's YouTube channel so I can have washcloths or dishcloths from it. And that is a great idea.
I agree.
Because then you have something useful. And that's actually what I did when I learned Tunisian is I started with dishcloths. And I got very frustrated with it because I was getting that bulletproof fabric and curled up terrible. So
Which the bulletproof fabric that you can make or material you make with the smaller hooks isn't bad if you're wanting a more tighter, like for pillows or for blankets. It's kind of like upholstery.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that if you used more than one strand with cotton, you could even make rugs.
Oh,
because
sure.
it is really thick, heavy material.
Yeah,
so it would be good for that.
That is very true. And Emmy, girl, I'll take you up on it.
That's a good idea, Emmy. Take a trip.
There we go. Yeah, we need to get a group of us together. One of these days we'll start hosting meetups, but not yet.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We need a few of us to build some schoolies, and we'll go around the country with our yarn buses.
Yes. So I'm gonna.
I would love that.
Before we go into the next question with Ben, this is the last time I'm going to say this because I think we got a bulk of everybody who's going to watch here. So just so you guys know, if you didn't hear this earlier, we approached Ben about doing this interview because we are having the Facebook challenge for Tunisian Crochet right now. So he was happy to do it. He just couldn't do it live with us. So we went ahead and recorded this about a week and a half ago. And there is some lag on his end.
Right.
So you're starting to see it more and more in this last video. It was really, really noticeable.
Yeah.
But you'll start to see, I did cut out some of those, where you ask a question and you wait for them to hear it. I cut out a lot of that. But you're going to see where things don't match up quite on his end.
Right.
So just a heads up.
Yeah.
Well, we're aware of it. There's nothing I could do about it. But hopefully you don't feel the pain quite as much.
Yeah, it was
when we were waiting for an answer.
It was just a delay. Yeah. And we'd wait patiently. But it was kind of like when you're watching the international news and, the guy in New York is talking to the guy in Beijing and there's that long delay. That's kind of how it was. So.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Well, Angie, you're going to have to check out Ben's channel. Angie says, I need to practice on more than one stitch. I only know the simple stitch.
Try the knit stitch next, Angie. I love that one.
And you'll see later on, he actually recommends learning the knit stitch first for the ends of it.
Yeah. So if you're just starting, the knit stitch. It yields such a pretty material too.
Check out that idea for Mimi. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I would love
to do a retreat.
Yes.
Awesome. We'll get t-shirts.
Yeah,
great.
That's on the road though. Not quite
we
yet.
We need to do that.
And we'll invite Ben.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And he can teach all the classes and do all the work while we just, Well, I don't know. Y'all don't drink, but I'll drink beer and try and figure it out.
I'll drive you home, honey.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. I'll drink coffee too.
Now, have either of you heard of Sandy Brown? I have not, but I have not been into Tunisian. I haven't done Tunisian crochet, so.
No, I don't know Sandy Brown.
No? Okay. Well, you have to tell us more about Sandy.
Kelly asked if it's the Hook to the Left Facebook group, and it is not. It is the Yarn Hookers Facebook group.
And that is linked down below. That's like a standard link I have in all of my all of my videos.
And we'd be happy to have you. We're a fun bunch.
Oh, so there we go. Emmy and I will be getting drunk trying to learn on beer, trying to learn Tunisian crochet while the rest of y'all laugh. And
that'll be fun. And you should also try it right-handed while you're drunk.
Oh yeah. That is when you'll start to hear some cursing. Actually, off camera, you'll hear a lot more cursing than.
Nice.
Ben's channel it should be linked down below, but it's that Tunisian crochet life, right?
Yep.
Emmy does her best work whilst drinking beer.
I will make all the coffee.
There you go. Look at that.
I will make the tea.
We got plans.
We'll have to make coffee, tea and beer runs.
Right.
Okay, so the next one, and there's a few more. We're on question 7 and we go up to question 11, just to let you guys know. So the next one, he shows some more of his projects, and he talks about just making stuff for the joy of making it. And he talks a little bit more about that. So I need to make sure I'm on the right question. So bear with me, you guys. I just forgot. I think here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You're the count.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Show us what you're going to show us.
We want to see.
I'm just digging in my. See, once you get me going through my stuff, I just love just touching my items.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
One secret to me is I never wear anything that I make. I'm making stuff just for the joy of making it.
Mm-hmm.
So every now and then I'll go through my tote of items just to look at and to feel. And that just gives me so much joy, even though after a year may go by and I never wear any of these scarves or anything.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like Gollum with precious.
Yeah. Just loving on your stuff, your makes. Ginger's the same way.
Ooh,
that is pretty cute.
Yeah,
that's fairly recent.
I just love this color combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did you make that
I
just
just
this past
love
winter,
this
Ben?
color combination. So this is probably, I don't know, 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
I think this is 2 years old.
Maybe I just watched
Yeah,
the
I
video
think that's
this
2 years
winter.
old. And yeah, that's one of the challenges with being a YouTuber is if you've been on YouTube for multiple years, people are still watching those old videos and they're asking you questions as if you just made the video and are going to remember everything that's in that video. And I'm like, I need to go and watch that video again. I don't remember what's in it.
We haven't gotten to there yet, but we will be. We're
That's
all
good
at
to
a right
know.
of the year, I think.
Yeah. Melanie's close to your first year, right?
Yes.
And I just
Have you ever
passed my
put
first year.
together colors? Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, we're newbies.
Yeah, it's
But
been going on, I guess, 3.5 years for me.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
This is. That's amazing. That's amazing.
So you were going to say something about putting together colors.
Yeah, especially when you're doing it as a side gig. You're just like reached in your yarn and was just put colors together, regardless of how they go together. That's what I did when I decided to just play with colors and made this. It's a pink.
Ooh.
What is that? Mint green and black.
Oh, is it black? I was curious if it was dark brown
I would
or
have
black.
never
That's really pretty.
black.
I love
I would
it.
have never put these three colors together, but I put them together just to see what would happen. And people are like, "Oh, this is so beautiful," and I'm like, So it's really interesting.
It looks like mint chocolate
when you put
chip.
colors together.
It works.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't thought of that. That's true. That's true.
Always
That
thinking with
is
my
true.
stomach.
It's interesting. Color theory is this thing that I've been delving into over the past 6 months. And it's interesting when you see colors separately and then when you see them put together in a piece, they can look so different and how they play on each other. And also the lighting that they're in can make colors look differently. So I've been sort of playing around with, color theory in the context of Tunisian crochet. And, one of these days I'm going to teach a class or something about color theory in Tunisian crochet. Because it's not something that people talk about. I think what a lot of people do in Tunisian crochet is they play with stitches, which I love to play with stitches. But there's something to be said for just picking one stitch, let's say just simple stitch. And instead of playing with texture by changing stitches, doing color changes.
Yeah.
Instead
of texture.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've been playing around with a lot lately.
That's cool. Oh, we lost Ginger.
Away.
Ginger.
She is.
There she is. So a lot of people are talking about
Sorry, Ginger, I had you muted.
It looks like a few people in the chat are talking about being terrible at choosing colors. How do you guys choose your colors?
I buy a yarn with a lot of color already in it.
Yeah.
I'm
So you let the yarn manufacturer do it?
Yeah, exactly. I let them do the work for me. Now, and for me, I tend to like to stick with if I go in a pastel, right, I stick with the pastels. or you go in the brights, you stick with the brights. I don't go in between the twos, but I don't have any
like this.
But I love that though. See, there's nothing wrong with that. I love it.
Well, this isn't color pairing. This is just what happened to be on the top of the basket. It was kind of like just
basket.
Yeah,
it works.
But I go on Pinterest and they have these. They remind me of the paint cards that you get at Lowe's, like when you're going to pick out paint, and it's got all the different shades of a certain color.
Mm-hmm.
But they're different colors, and they take them from like paintings or photographs or something. Yeah. So like the wall behind me might have like this gold and the dark green and the red and the beige, and they just put those colors together. And so I like those.
Now Jada and Stitches actually has a full video where she went out in nature and she grabbed some stuff from nature and then like paired them together and then showed the yarn to do that kind of color work. She has
it's kind of like that. Mm-hmm. And so I did a video on how I do that on Pinterest. So yeah, that might be something fun to check out because I'd never seen those before, and then I saw them on Pinterest, and I love using those. But I can't think of what they're called.
Color palettes.
Color palettes. Thank you.
That's what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then I remember from when I was in school for graphic design, the color wheel.
Yeah.
Understanding how to use complementary or what's the other word? Not complementary, but they're like opposing.
Contrasting.
Colors. Yeah, I don't know if it's contrasting. It's something else in color wording, but it's the opposite sides of the color wheel. They go together, and then complementary are the colors next to it. That type of deal. Anyway, that's I haven't used that though. I usually let my yarn do the work for me.
Yeah. Linda says I ordered the hooks, Ginger, and another set that goes bigger. Now I just need to finish some projects.
Yeah.
I'm using one of the hooks right now. I love these hooks.
Emmy says, yes, I use those. I think she's talking about the color palettes.
Yeah. I have those same hooks, though. I got mine with the case, though. Did you see that? You saw that, though.
Oh, the washcloth. Oh, this is actually, I don't know what it is. It's a swatch, but I'm thinking it's going to be turned into a scarf. It's that the Premier Bloom.
Yeah. Ginger, you've done that much just in this amount of time.
Yeah.
So I will say, when Ben's doing all the work for us, we're getting a lot of work done.
We're getting some work done.
Thanks, Ben.
We did all the work a week and a half ago. So
right. Yeah.
I've been wanting to see how this works up in Tunisian crochet as compared to regular crochet and knitting. And I'm really liking this.
I am too.
I like how it's working up. Yes.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it were a wider project, if it would work up that well.
Kind of like with color pulling, you have to stick with a number.
Right. Yeah. I'm thinking, I could do it twice as wide and it would still work up. It would just have thinner stripes. Yeah. But any more than twice this wide, it would start to be kind of wonky.
Hey, Janine, I'm sorry if Nightbot, I'm not seeing that, but I'm in a different thing. But I'm sorry if Nightbot's getting rid of your stuff. It doesn't like a lot of exclamation points or something, and then it gave David a warning this morning for that, and then a lot of emojis. It doesn't like a lot of emojis.
Denise says, if it were, I bought a 12 millimeter hook from Amazon, and it was $29, including $10 shipping.
Okay, and I know that American dollars, the wooden 12 millimeter hook, it was.
I want to say it was $7.89 on eBay.
See, that's even better on eBay. I think it was like $12.13 with the link that I just posted, which I think I still have it on my clipboard, and I'll post it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super high quality or anything. I don't know if you can see, but you can kind of see the little bit of glue there. It's not high tech. This isn't
it gets the job done.
Yeah. It gets the job done. And actually, I found it very comfortable to hold. And I've had to I will say this about Tunisian is you have to use your knife grip.
Oh,
if you're a pencil gripper, you won't be when you're doing Tunisian. It's a knife grip. But I don't know. It works well.
Trying to do it.
I do want to tell Kelly that I got this at Hobby Lobby.
Okay.
That's why I was holding that up before. She was wanting to know the kind of yarn. But it's Premier. You can also order it on the Premier website. And this is chunky, but you can also get it in 4-weight too.
Angie says, I got the Addie Tunisian hook set from Amazon and she loves them. And Deneen says, I called you guys enablers. Maybe that was taken as a threat. I did see that comment, though. Actually, it was right before we went into the video because I chuckled. I was chuckling and nodding at that comment. Sometimes I look at the comments and then I just chuckle and nod.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up the next one again. There's some delay in the recording. You'll see where there's some delay on his end. It just gets worse as it goes on, but we work around it. And the information that he gives you is so worth it. So don't even worry about that. Okay, so this next question that he's going to answer, and you'll hear Julie ask it, but he starts to get into what he wants to do in the future with his craft. So let me go ahead and hit play.
So my two final questions, I won't ask them at the same time. I'll ask them one at a time. So where do you see yourself in like the next few years? Like what's your plans for your channel and your craft? And do you have big plans, little plans? What would you like to see?
I'm not sure if I should tell my secret plans.
Oh, you don't have to tell
I have a secret plan to take over the world.
Oh, you already have that plan. You're going to have to join us because we already had that plan.
Yep.
Actually, one of the things that I was moving towards before the pandemic was putting together a traveling Tunisian crochet festival.
Oh, wow.
Where I would travel around the country, sort of as like a slash festival slash classes slash trunk show, where I would show items that I've made, and so that people get sort of an understanding of some of the possibilities that they haven't seen with the craft before, and to teach people some techniques that they haven't seen before, particularly lace work and reversibility. I'd love to go around the country to various yarn shops and even some of the big box hobby stores, and just do presentations, get local people, local designers in on it. I think it would be a whole lot of fun.
That would be amazing.
And really that leads to this other bigger idea they have. We have knitting associations and crochet associations, knitting guilds and crochet guilds. We don't have that for Tunisian crochet. And I think having it lumped under crochet actually holds the craft back. Some people argue that, well, it helps the craft because if we have it under crochet, then there's more people who crochet to introduce it to. But then the problem with that is then it becomes treated as, sort of the little stepchild of crochet. But it's not. It's its own thing. Tunisian crochet, as far as I can tell, only shares 2 stitches with crochet, and that's the chain stitch and the slip stitch. That's it. And it shares 1 stitch with knitting, and that's the slip stitch, which in knitting it's just called the bind off stitch. So it's neither knitting nor crochet. So why can't it stand on its own? If we had an organization, an association whose job was to promote the craft and to give education to the public as well as people interested in it, I think we can do a lot more than lumping it under crochet and hoping that maybe people will stumble on it. Highlight it and let it be its own thing and let it shine.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, Ben.
So that's my sort of longer range secret plan.
I like it.
I would love that.
That's really cool. You're ambitious.
Yeah. I mean, why not? We can do anything we so choose. And there are plenty. I mean, it doesn't have to start off being some great, big, grand thing. It can just be, a few yarn shops and some hobby stores, that lets me and maybe some other designers come in and do some presentation to interested people and, start like that. Unfortunately, the Tunisian crochet designers don't get a whole lot of attention because they are lumped in with crochet. So, but if we pull it out and said, hey, look at this craft, and here are some designers who have instructional materials and patterns, I think it would actually elevate the craft more. One of the unfortunate things, because so few people do it, there are not a lot of patterns out there. And one of the things that I'm constantly hearing myself on YouTube and sometimes in the group, people looking for patterns for sweaters and garments. There just aren't many out there. But if we would begin to highlight Tunisian crochet as a craft all its own and really educating people about it, then we will grow more designers. We will be able to promote people's work. And I say, why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd love to go to a yarn shop and actually see test pieces in Tunisian crochet hanging in the yarn shop and not just knit pieces.
Yeah, I agree. So that sorry, Ginger, go ahead.
Or even see Tunisian crochet hooks. I mean, a lot of places don't even have these hooks.
Yes. Tunisian crochet, that's another reason to understand that Tunisian crochet is its own craft separate from crochet, is we have our own specialized hooks. You can do Tunisian crochet, a lot of Tunisian crochet, with a regular crochet hook if you modify it. Like I don't have one handy. What I'll do is I have just a regular straight hook if I'm just making like a scarf or something that's not very, very wide, and I just tie a rubber band on the end to keep it as a stopper to keep the stitches on.
Great
But that just goes to speak that our hooks are necessarily different than crochet hooks. We're a different craft. We need different. We have our straight hooks. We have our cable hooks. We've got the double hooks on a cable, and we've got double-ended hooks, and they all do different things. So we've got something that I think that is unique among the needle arts, and it can do so much more than people think. So much more. I mean, something as simple as something drapey. I mean, most people that have encountered, as they would call it, afghan stitch, have no idea what Tunisian crochet can be and do.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have Hugs Through Shrugs here in the chat. So I'm so happy to see you here. Have we gotten to that portion of the video? Has Ben already discussed?
Yeah.
Hugs Through Shrugs.
Yeah, he did discuss it. So he did discuss Hugs Through Sharks. So yeah, you guys need to check out their channel as well. And that is his like baby. He loves it. That's his charity of choice. He has done some stuff, as you mentioned before, for Red Scarf, but he has really just latched on to Hugs Through Shrugs, and where they make shrugs for. And do you recall? Can you let us know?
It was for the mothers of children with cancer, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and he said like 90% of the shrugs that they send out through the charity are Tunisian.
Yeah. So I just love that they're here. So welcome to the chat.
Yes. Thank you, Hug. So they said that Ben has said such nice things about all of us. I've been waiting for this interview. I am so glad that you were able to check it out. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, we've become big fans of Ben.
Yes, yes.
And his dreamy voice.
I know that is an Afghan hook from the 70s, 50s. I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions before we move on to the next interview question. I don't think they're trying to decide which rabbit hole to fall down, Tunisian crochet or mosaic crochet, right?
Well, and then I said there's always mosaic Tunisian.
No, I want to try that. I want to try that so much.
All right, so I am going to go ahead and move on to the next question. Again, just keep in mind there was a bit of a delay on his end when we were recording this and asking him the questions. So it gets worse as these questions go on. That's why I keep letting you guys know. So next one is, so this is when I asked the question, and it was about supplies for somebody who's new to crochet and some of the stuff I was hearing him say. So I had a question specifically about that. So I've never done Tunisian crochet. I am a crocheter through and through. I don't knit anything. So my question is, as somebody coming new into the craft, my thought, and I've already bought, my thought was, okay, so if you're going to go with worsted weight yarn, then get the 5.5 millimeter hook. And apparently, from what I'm hearing, that might not be the way to go. What would you recommend?
Ooh, a 5.5 millimeter hook. For most people, that's going to be a very stiff piece of fabric. That's going to be like a pot holder.
Okay.
I always recommend that people start with an 8 millimeter hook, which I believe is an L, if I got that right.
I'm good with millimeters.
Of course, everyone's tension is going to be different.
Okay.
Everyone's tension is going to be different, but I like to start people with larger hooks because it gets them used to first handling the hooks. You should see some of the old ladies at the crochet group that I used to run. I mean, they've got these little, for me, what are little tiny hooks, you know, working with thread or worsted weight yarn. And I'm like, well, I would just never use that size hook in Tunisian crochet unless I'm using like lace weight yarn.
Yeah.
So I always suggest to people, for worsted weight, start with an 8 millimeter and then play around with hook size to find the gauge you like.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't wait for my my big hook to come in the
Expensive
mail.
big box yarn is sold as worsted when it's actually a thicker yarn. It's Aran.
Yeah. I like
So
that. I like the
worsted
Aran
weight yarn is actually thinner than like the Red Heart Super Saver. Right. So like with Red Heart Super Saver thickness yarn, I actually use a larger hook, more like a 10 millimeter.
Right.
Oh,
So if
interesting.
someone is coming to a class or an event that I'm doing and learning from me, if I see that that's the kind of yarn, I have done classes, yeah. So if I see that's the type of yarn they have, I start them with a 9 millimeter hook because it's a thicker yarn.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's something that I found completely fascinating and realized that I spent money on the wrong hooks.
Oh,
That's okay. I'll have them for if I want a tight washcloth or something like that. I'll have them available.
Or if you use a 1-weight or a 2-weight yarn.
right. That's what I was thinking
True,
too.
because I even one of the hooks I got was 4mm. So let me get some sock weight yarn for that puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? That's going to be really tiny.
So Bev is like, Tunisian in the round. Now I'm dizzy. And then says, pardon me, I have swooned. So many new things to learn, right?
It's exciting though.
That's like a whole nother yarn hobby.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You start thinking about, oh, what can I do? You know,
Exactly.
what's my next project?
I've got a bag right here started that's in the round. I've just started going up the sides.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And it's all knit stitch.
Oh, I love that knit stitch.
It's knit stitch right there, but on the bottom, it's the bottom of the bag is what's it called? Waistcoat stitch in the round, or going around.
So you started it with regular crochet first?
Yeah, started just the bottom of the bag, like the bottom flat part is the waistcoat stitch, going around in circles. And then when I got to the sides of the bag, I switched to Tunisian in the round in knit stitch. So it looks pretty, it looks seamless. It looks like it goes straight from waistcoat. I mean, it goes from waistcoat to Tunisian knit stitch, but it looks the same.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's easier to do the Tunisian knit over the waistcoat, or they're both the same. You just,
it's just, just different. Just the Tunisian, the waistcoat stitch makes a heavier bottom. So
okay.
Right, for the bottom of the bag.
I specialize in a heavier bottom.
You and me both. So Huckster Shrugs was saying, and this reinforces what Ben was saying. He says, when I first started, I treated myself to Knit Picks interchangeable set. All hooks too small for our use. We primarily use Q through U hooks. And that's for the shrugs. So that reinforces what he was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and here Deneen is saying, Petra's asking, what is the waistcoat stitch?
The waistcoat stitch is a crochet stitch that looks like knitting. It looks like a knit stitch. Ginger, are you okay?
I was sneezing. I'm so sorry.
I was like, okay. That wasn't that bad of a question, I don't think.
Yeah, I know. I thought, was she upset because I took that question?
So Janine says those headbands that she made, she used a 6mm. And that's because she wanted them thick and warm. But, being just a Saskatchewan, I understand that. So sorry to interrupt you. What were you saying, Ginger?
Oh, I was going to say, Bev says, I'm pretty sure you should have told me about this because she makes all those felted bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make your felted bags with Tunisian crochet too.
Sure.
We're going to make her swoon again.
Uh-oh.
She's going to swoon.
We're going to blow Bev's mind today.
So you guys, there's only a couple more questions left. One more for Julie and one more from what is your name, Ginger?
What's her name? Yeah.
Having a moment. All right, so this is where Julie continues on, and she goes deeper into asking him if he ever taught some classes. So let's go ahead and start.
Actually answered my last question before I asked it. And that was going to be, have you ever taught classes, in person type classes, or have you ever been part of a local group that was just specifically for Tunisian? So you kind of answered that question already, but that's a good thing.
I do have a question. Just a sec.
In just a sec.
Well, I'm waiting for the lag.
I've taught classes many years ago. I was hot on. Oh,
that's okay. Go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead.
What I was saying is that many years ago, I was like red hot on with slip stitch crochet, which is crocheting with all slip stitches. So I was teaching classes back then, and that was actually the first time I started teaching classes and sort of got used to answering questions from people who really didn't even know how to make a slip knot. So when I started teaching, when I had this crochet group here in my town in Aiken, South Carolina, and decided to offer a few classes, well, they're all crocheters. I'm the only Tunisian crocheter. I did have one person that knew a little bit of Tunisian crochet. So when they came to the class, the challenge was, and in advance, I told them what hook sizes they were going to need and why. People find it so hard to believe, if they've been a crocheter, that they need the size hooks that I tell them they need. And then they get to class and they wonder why it's so hard to work the stitches, because they're using these small hooks that are maybe appropriate for crochet, but not really for Tunisian crochet.
Right.
And one of the other things that I find that people who are crocheters have difficulty learning Tunisian crochet, which knitters don't seem to have an issue with. Knitters seem to pick this up faster, is because when we do Tunisian crochet, we're basically, see, knitting at the beginning, you cast on your stitches, and typically at the end, you bind off your stitches, or you cast off your stitches. Well, in Tunisian crochet, we do that on every row. So every row is cast on and then bind off. That is confusing to most crocheters, because in crochet, you only have one live loop on the hook after every stitch. But in Tunisian crochet, the whole row, you have all the live loops on the hook. So I find with crocheters, it takes them a while to stop trying to pull all the loops off the hook because they're used to, you know, you make that single crochet or double crochet or whatever the stitch is, and you pull everything off except for the one loop. So sometimes it takes to know that you leave the loops on the hook. And it's funny watching them, because you're looking at people who are intelligent, you know, who have been crafting for years, but they just having so much trouble not taking all those loops off the hook. And it's just hilarious getting them used to know you leave them on the hook. Whereas with knitters, they're used to having loops on the hook at all times. So they don't tend to have that issue. Their issue is, well, okay, when it comes time for the return pass, what am I supposed to do? And they keep forgetting you have to take the loops off the hook for the return pass, because they think the loops are supposed to stay on the hook all the time. So it's interesting seeing when people come from the different crafts, what they find hard to do. Knitters also find it relatively easy to do reversible work in Tunisian crochet, whereas crocheters, because they're not used to thinking in that way, that tends to be difficult. When you look at crochet, typically crochet is reversible just by the way that we do it, because we turn the work. Unless you're working in the round without turning, but most people are doing work, if you're doing flat, you're turning. So it's automatically double-sided. So then when you have to make the switch to think about the fronts and the back of stitches, it can be a little, it take a little bit of getting used to for crocheters. But it's just learning new skills. I keep telling people, give yourself time to learn each new skill. No one is going to come out of the, gate having a skill under their belt right away. It takes time. Right. Don't pressurize yourself to have the skill down pat after your first class or your first try. Give yourself a chance to, if it takes you a week to learn how to do something, that's okay. If it takes you a month to get it to the place where your tension is good, that's okay too. Have fun with it rather than pressurizing yourself for it to have to be perfect.
Yeah, good advice, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I have a quote that I keep on my desk at work, and it says, "The expert in anything was once a beginner."
Yep.
Good advice.
Did you guys see this link that Hugs for Shrugs put up for hooks? It's Mimi's Needle Basket on Etsy. Has good hooks.
Oh, actually, you know what? I need to link it. They told us about it. Mimi's Needle Basket.
Yeah.
And I posted. I showed that while we were in the video. I put it on the screen. But hang on, I didn't even think to go grab the link. So if you could bear with me, I will get that link.
I'm excited. I'm going to go there right after we get off to look at some Tunisian hooks.
Yeah, get some chow goos. I think she said they sell chow goos. I love chow goo hooks.
I've never tried them, but I've heard about them.
I've only used them for sock knitting needles. But they're good. Yeah, it's good quality stuff.
I'm going to say, okay, this is a 10, or no, I'm sorry, this is an 8mm. I thought it was a 10mm. It's an 8mm, but it's really good. Never mind. I was saying, I got this on Amazon.
Good night, Tiger Dragon Girl. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Tiger Dragon Girl. And that is the link to Mimi's Needle Basket. And you guys, awesome. Just have one more question. I know this has actually been one of our longest shows. So I thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm from the comments and everything and the engagement. It looks like this is something that you're really enjoying. So we will be on the lookout for ways to work in bringing in an interview with people for specific things. So yes.
Maybe they can coincide with the Facebook challenges.
Yes, especially. I think that would be awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, so the next question is Ginger's question, and she kind of goes on and talks a little bit about how using her knit way of thinking, her knit thinking, really is advantageous to learning Tunisian crochet. And then they go on a little bit more about that. And this is where he talks about learning the knit stitch before learning, what was it, the other stitch?
The simple stitch.
Yeah, the simple stitch. This, I think it's in this, when he answers this question is when he talks about that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm sorry, that's like one of my intros. Excuse me.
Go ahead and get started.
I wanted to ask one question, but I did want to say that I found using KnitThink a whole lot when I used your tutorial. I was going over your tutorials today and trying them, and I had never made the Tunisian reverse knit stitch or the Tunisian purl. And I think that in my whole thinking process of making it, it was so much easier because I already know how to knit. And so it's just kind of a version of the knit stitches. And I was even thinking that as I was doing that knowing how to knit as well as crochet made learning how to Tunisian crochet so much easier. But yeah. I do have question about when you get to the end of the row, and I found this hard to describe to people. And I don't know, I haven't gotten that far in your tutorials where you show how to do the end stitch at the very end of the row.
In fact,
if you could explain that to us, I've finally gotten it, and I can do the end of my rows, and my rows end up even and everything. But I know a lot of beginners have trouble with that.
I did.
It's so much easier to show than it is to tell.
Right.
Here's how I would, if I were to offer a class today, which I'm actually going to be doing some videos, some classes in my Facebook group. Here's how I would teach it to make it easier for people. People typically learn Tunisian simple stitch as their first stitch. That's not the way that I like to teach it, even though that's the way I learned. If you learn the Tunisian knit stitch first, it really sets you up to understand better, because that last stitch is actually a knit stitch. That's not usually explained to beginners, so it doesn't register. But if you look at have you learned the Tunisian knit stitch yet? So if you learn the Tunisian knit stitch and you do follow my instructions to do the end stitch the way it's done, and you actually look at it, it's a knit stitch, and the end stitch is always the same. It's always a knit stitch. It's just because if you only put the hook through the one loop on the very edge of the work, you end up with a very weak edge, and it looks very different from the other side. So that's why, see, with the end stitch, if I can make my fingers do this, with the end stitch, it's you actually have three legs, right? The front and the back leg. But the end stitch actually has three legs. This leg faces inside the work, and these two are on the very edge of the work. Through this way, so you pick up the two threads on the side of the stitch, and you still have that one leg that goes this way. This is why it's a knit stitch, because you still get that V like you do a knit stitch. It's just that because it's the end stitch, you have a third leg. You have the front and the back, and you have that other one that sort of forms the V. So, and then when you learn the knit stitch first, because it's the easiest of the reverse stitches to get, you don't have to worry so much about which direction you're wrapping the yarn when you do the yarn over with the knit stitch. So I would actually start people learning those two stitches together, because they're learning the knit stitch. Then I can get people to understand what's happening with the end stitch. Then I can immediately introduce them to reversible work by showing them reverse knit stitch. And then we can learn the other stitches from there.
That's good to know. I'll have to try. I have to try relearning. Relearning? That doesn't make sense. I'll have to try the knit stitch, because I haven't tried that one yet. So
love that. I love your passion with your fiber art. It's so refreshing to see. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I did a whole bunch of your tutorials today, and I did learn the bump stitch and the simple the simple stitch, all the reverse stitches, and the one that the full stitch, and I didn't know. I didn't know those stitches yet, and you explained them very well. I love your tutorials. They're super easy to understand. You've got a very nice voice to listen to.
Ben, I want to say thank you so much for being with us today. I know I've already thanked you, but I mean, after sitting here and listening to your passion again about your fiber art, I'm deeply appreciative that you took the time out of your evening to come and chat with us, ladies. I thank you so much. Again, everybody, links are down below. Make sure you visit him. And any parting thoughts?
I don't know. I just can't wait for my new hook to come.
I can't wait to do all of his tutorials.
Well, just that, of course, I'm going to be sharing you guys' channels on my channel as well to let my viewers know about you. I definitely want that to happen. Any hookers, whether they're Tunisian or not, I want the world to know about.
Well, you're converting us, I'll tell you. So awesome. Well, thank you, Ben, so much. That was so much fun.
It was. You guys, and you guys can see it because I see in the chat here where people are getting very excited about Tunisian crochet, and that I don't think would have happened if it wasn't for his passion, and it just bleeds through and everything that he talks about when he's talking about Tunisian crochet.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, that's okay, Anjanette. Hey, Anjanette, I wanted to thank you for your email. You gave me so much information. She just sent me a particular email about a supplement type thing, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, nice.
Send me that email. I haven't had a chance to reply. I've barely looked at my email lately. I'm in my busy season for work, so if I'm not I'm not paying as close attention to email as I probably should. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you. I did see it come through. I just haven't had an opportunity to reply.
Yeah, it's a busy time.
It is. It is.
We need more long weekends. That's what I think. How nice would life be if we had a 4-day weekend?
Right?
At least once a month.
Well, and we're going to get one next month, but that's whenever my family is doing the girls' weekend, and I don't know how much free time I'm going to have for that. You know, it'll be
right.
Fun, but I'll probably want to take a long nap after we're done.
Right? We sure do.
So Linda says I have to look up Hugs Through Shrugs. Yes, please do. That is along with looking up Ben. But I will look up Hugs Through Shrugs and include them down below as well. A link to them down below as well. Once I go back and edit that link that isn't working for Ben's page.
Yeah, sounds good. So does anybody have any questions that maybe we can answer before we close things out here?
Yes, because we're already at 2 hours. So
this went by really fast.
It did.
It did, but I'm also getting very hungry.
I know. I hear you.
So cute.
Anjanette says, I think it was more about something to put on your nails. It's been a while now. LOL. I have the same issues as you. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Thank you, Anjanette. Thank you for understanding.
That's yes. Ben had mentioned. Actually, I think he mentioned it in a chat. He and I were chatting. And if anyone is interested, we also dye yarn to raise money for our charity. Tunisian Kids are in the works. So yeah, Hugs Through Shrugs is now doing hand dyed yarns. So that's really exciting.
That is exciting.
And it's all for such a great cause.
Yes, absolutely,
definitely.
Linda says, I thank you for this. I really appreciate it. That's good to hear. I'm glad that you liked it.
Hey, and you guys, if there's somebody, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can either do it through comments on the videos, or you can email us at yarnhookers.the4ever@gmail.com. And you have
the Facebook group,
or through the face. I'm having a hard time talking today, people.
She really is.
Instagram.
I am.
Or Instagram. That's right. I forgot
Or
we have
Instagram, exactly. You can DM us on Instagram. So yeah, look, you got no excuse. You can reach us, okay?
that. We're reachable.
But please reach out. Let us know if you have somebody that you want us to bring on the show. And it looks like this was really a great idea for us to bring this in, and we'll probably do it again, especially as we get certain themes for our Facebook challenges. We'll do something like this for the Facebook challenge for the learning process, because that's what that challenge is about, is the learning process.
Yep.
So yay.
Learning new things. So
exactly.
Very cool.
Oh, that's cool. Cal says, which Cal was appreciating Ben's passion as well. It says, "You all have been my fun crochet for the day. Thanks for bringing Ben on." And we appreciate Ben being here. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much.
I think of him right now working at the front desk at the hotel.
Yes.
Wishing he were here and stuff.
Maybe he's watching us on
Maybe.
on silent.
Yeah, he's got us in his ear. And Bev's mine is.
Yes. That's funny, Bev.
And Mandy's converted. She's going to give it a try anyway.
Yay!
Kathy appreciated the chat. So we appreciate each and every one of you. We are going to go ahead and thank you, Hugs Through Shrugs. Aw.
Oh, that's so nice.
Every Saturday, come join us. We love it. But thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. And with this, we're going to go ahead and say good night. So good night, you guys. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.